great response to our healthcare worker nurse interview that we thought it would be great to tap into some other people that have a unique perspective in this moment. And I can't think of anything better than to talk to a group of educators, of teachers, and to really share a couple of things, to share what they're seeing in this moment, to see how they're seeing Jesus in this moment, and really to give us ideas how we can support teachers and pray for teachers. So thanks so much, everybody, friends, for joining me. You just want to go around and introduce yourself. Claire, do you want to start?
Absolutely. My name is Claire Ricci. I am originally from Colorado, but I am now living in Florida. I am a second year, this is my second full year of teaching, and last year I taught third grade. This year I'm with first graders.
Awesome. Maggie?
Hi, I'm Maggie Schieffelin. I currently teach sixth grade in Jefferson County, and this is my second year teaching sixth grade, so it's been a pretty fun adventure.
Andrew, how about you, bud?
So I'm Andrew Horwath, and I've been teaching 4 years now up in Brighton, Henderson specifically, and yeah.
Awesome. Jenny?
I teach sixth grade math.
Sixth grade math. That's about where I stopped, where my math stopped, so I'll be in good shape. Jenny?
Hi, I'm Jenny Blackmon, and I'm a special education SED teacher for 3rd through 5th grade in a Jeffco school in Lakewood. For those of you that don't know, SED is for students that have social emotional disabilities with a lot of trauma that comes with them as well. And I've been teaching this is my 8th year as a special education teacher.
Awesome, thanks.
Hi, I'm Sherry Winger. I teach in Southwest Denver Public Schools. I am a math teacher. This is my 8th year teaching. This year I'm doing 7th grade math, but I've done 8th grade math, most of it.
See, you're just one level above me. There's no way I could do that 7th grade math.
I got you, I'll help you out.
So I'd love you to think about sharing with us kind of what you're seeing in this moment. And yeah, I think you have a unique perspective. So how about Jenny? Do you want to jump in and go first? Kind of some things that you're noticing or some perspective that you can think is helpful for us?
Sure. So my students are a little bit different because they are bused to my school through the district for being put in a center program for social emotional disability kids, and then they are mainstreamed into the gen ed setting as much as they can, but also are in my classroom for extra support usually. So this has actually been a really, really challenging time for me as a special education teacher, just because some families don't have internet and some families are just a little more distant. So it's been real challenging. I do have to go down to families' houses at least once or twice a week to give them paper copies sometimes and to help figure out the internet. And it's just been a lot of work. I'm probably working 10 to 12 hours right now, just trying to manage everything with my 9 students. 8 out of my 9 families right now are very engaged and actually are working so hard to keep the education going. So between them and me, and I also have to meet my students on Zoom once a day individually, all 9 students, for a half an hour to give them extra academic support too. So it's a lot of work, but I feel like we're doing what we need to do and keeping my students engaged and learning as much as they can during this time.
Way to go. Claire, I see you shaking your head a lot.
Yes, here in Florida, our entire district is all Title I, which means they just get free breakfast and lunch. And I think one of the first thoughts that went through my head when all of this came was, how are my kids going to eat? And just kind of in calling my kids and saying, you know, have you been able to get over to the school to get the meals that they're dropping off? And one little girl saying, no, she's one of 7 kids in her family. And she said, but the bus driver brought us food. And so that was just a just one of my first things that I was really concerned with my kids. I'm same as you, Jenny. I'm meeting actually some parents at our school on Tuesday, because some of my kids are doing online. I have 17 kids in my class, and about 3/4 of them did not have internet or devices. So I think I spent the first couple of weeks just trying to help get that all set up with them and making sure they could get devices and stuff. But meeting them over there, and the kids there doing paper packets, getting all that stuff to them. One little girl, she said, I haven't been reading at all. And I said, why not? And she said, well, I don't have any books in my house. So I'm going to go just scrounge the books off of my shelves and bring her some books and things. So it's been a lot of just trying to fill those gaps of the things that the kids just don't have at home, and that type of thing. So, and I've probably, maybe a little more than half of my kids are engaged right now. Some I haven't been able to find yet. I haven't been able to get in touch with some of them yet.
Wow.
So
Thanks for sharing that. Andrew, how about you? What do you see with your students and your families?
I feel like I have a slightly different population. Our school is maybe like 30% free and reduced lunch. And so in our district, I feel like has been completely different from like Jeffco or Denver. And like a big piece of what we did right after spring break was just checking in with families and making sure like they had everything they needed, if they had internet, if they had like Chromebooks and devices that kids could use, and if those were actually working. And so a big piece, again, I had like maybe 26 families I called that week just to check in. And some families wanted to talk longer. Some families were kind of just unavailable to get to, and so I try to call back. For the most part, which was kind of cool, is a lot of the families were really receptive to that and really just like welcoming to that. And like, I don't know, it was really good for them to get that call and get a sense of like, okay, we're trying to work together with this.
Maggie, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm also in a Title I school in Arvada, and so I have a similar experience with just trying to meet the kids' needs. And I think one thing that I noticed, I mean, the day that we found out we were for sure going to go online the following week, I don't think I'll ever forget that day in all my career, probably. We had to ask questions to the kids like, do you have food security? Do you have home security? I mean, like, you know, parents losing their jobs through this time, you know, it's just been a really interesting journey with the kids, just to see, just making sure we can connect with them on a consistent basis so that we know that they're safe, so that we know that they have a home to be in, so that we know that they have food. And I think really the biggest change is that the name of the game of teaching has completely changed. You know, it went from face to face all the time to then now it's from computer to computer. And that's the best it can be in some situations. And so, yeah, it's come with some challenges for sure.
Sherry, how about you?
I echo a lot of the same things. I am in a Title I school. We have a significantly impacted community with a lot of needs going on. So we've done the same thing, like the reaching out. Every family has had a personal contact from somebody from the staff, multiple contacts. Some of them were hard to get a hold of. We had the technology issues trying to make sure everybody had access. We're still struggling getting a couple of people aboard, but for the most part, we've got about 95% engagement right now, which is higher than we ever could imagine and anticipate. But I think our team has come together really well, working to make sure that our kids can access lessons from a cell phone. Almost everybody has access at least through their parents' cell phone. So just meeting them where they're at. But yeah, we're struggling to make sure the kids have their meals, are getting all of their needs met, know where they can go to get medical support, because a lot of them don't have insurance or access to medical. We send out a lot of mental health stuff, like weekly through our advisement, just who do you contact if you're struggling with this? How do you reach somebody for help?
Wow. Yeah. Sitting here listening to you guys, I think the importance of the safety net that you're providing for families and kids is, and people that are being known and seen and cared for. I think there's certainly a need in all of our hearts that someone would come and find us, and I think that your pursuit of students just has been incredible. Yeah, I can't even imagine how difficult that is. Where are you seeing Jesus? Who wants to start with that question? Where are you seeing Jesus show up in this moment in your life, maybe, or in engineering some interactions, or just bringing hope? Does somebody want to start, and then I'll kind of assign as we go around. Andrew.
So this whole experience has been just like super weird, I think, in general. And then just thinking about like, even when it came like right before spring break, my thought was like, what is this even gonna look like? How is this gonna happen, and how long? And I think still that how long is a little weird, because like even now I'm starting to hear like the possibility of going in August is gonna look completely different than what it's been before. And so that's, I guess, that wonder and that worry or that anxiety has been very present. And so I think a big piece of seeing Jesus has been in those situations, and just being able to say that like, you're in control here, like despite all the unknowns, despite all the difficulties and the obstacles, you're in control. And then another piece of like what I've been reminded of is like, he's called me to this, and it's like, this is more than just teaching. This is like a ministry, and he's put it on my heart for this. And like Maggie was saying, like, I'm probably never going to forget this, but like he's called me for this time, for this specific time. And not just me, but like every teacher, and then everybody for whatever job they're in. Like I have my students in front of me who I can minister to, in the families, and I can love them and pray for them and just be gracious with them and allow Jesus to shine through that. And I think that's been a real big realization through this moment.
That's really sweet. Thanks, Andrew. How about you, Sherry?
I'm feeling a lot of the same way that Andrew's feeling. It's also given me an opportunity. People know who I am in the school, and my faith and my belief, and those people reaching out, just other Christians, and us supporting each other has been awesome, because it allows us an opportunity to share what we're concerned about and have somebody that's going to pray with us. And just through this, and having to be intentional about calling families and making connections, I've actually had the opportunity to just connect with more families, just to be able to love on more families and let them know that their teacher cares not just about their kid, but about them personally.
Jenny, you're shaking your head. You experienced some of that stuff too?
Yeah, I would say the same for Andrew and Sherry, that I probably know my families better now than I would have ever known if we hadn't had this situation. And I feel like I'm ministering and supporting my families as much as my students. And when Claire shared about her families with food, I've gone down and had to deliver food to my families and to support families that have lost their jobs and stuff. And just coming along the side of them and supporting them, and them helping me support their child through education. And I do see that as a benefit, that I would have never known my families like I know them today, and that they trust me, and that that Jesus is working in their lives and through me, and seeing that I can show them Jesus's love through this situation. And yes, I think someone said about giving the control to God. In the beginning, it was really, really difficult for me, because I'm such a control person with my teaching, and I have this planned out and this planned out and this planned out. And I finally had to just take a deep breath and say, you know what? God's got this, and he's got this in control. And the number one thing is that the families are safe and okay, and their physical needs are being met. And then we'll work on the academics. And once I was able to give that to God, I've seen Jesus work in my family's lives through me in so many different ways. It's been amazing to watch and see.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Claire, then Maggie, how about?
Sure. Again, I kind of am seconding what all of you guys have said. That my relationship with my parents, I have felt just get really strong. I've had parents that have reached out and just said, hey, Miss Ricci, my fiance just lost his job. Can you be praying for us? And then they'll follow through with saying, hey, they've got a job interview. Keep your fingers crossed. Thanks for the prayers. And, didn't ever have that kind of a relationship with them before. In some ways, I kind of feel like I'm supporting my parents almost in some ways more than the students, because I've had to talk a few parents off the ledge a little bit that have multiple kids that are just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm working during the day. I get home at night. We're, eating dinner, then we're staying up late doing homework, and then saying, okay, time out. Let's figure out what can we take off of your plate? How can we work through this? And they're like, oh, thank you so much for working with us. And they're just so grateful that I get that they have just taken on a whole lot. And they're, just for them to have that voice to be able to talk that through with me and work through things has been just awesome. And just, like you guys said, I just would never have had, if this all hadn't happened, that relationship wouldn't have been near so strong. I feel like kind of moving forward, all parents are going to have a whole different appreciation for teachers, because they're like, I don't know how you do this every day I just have one that I'm doing this with. How do you do it with a whole classroom of kids running around and all that stuff? So, and my kiddos are, they're not independent learners yet. And so my parents are really having to do a ton of the work with them right now. So, but it's been awesome just to see God just build those relationships, and everything has been so great.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the things that, I hope that people understand as we move through this, how much they need to appreciate what you guys do, for sure. Maggie, how about you? You want to finish this off with that question?
Yeah. So yeah, I have to echo everything that they're saying. I mean, relationships have been built, just definitely seeing Jesus in those moments, for sure. One thing that I was kind of thinking about too is that I have been incredibly impressed with the way that teachers have come together to support one another. And I mean, just the way that Jesus is showing his love, just not even just with teachers at the same school, but also like nationwide, we are being connected by the system of education. I mean, it's been a really cool experience to be conversations with teachers who are like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. What can we do? And then just all kinds of people from all over the US are saying, this is what I'm doing. Here's a free resource, So I just really feel like Jesus is showing up for teachers right now, just with our job and how difficult this transition has been, and just supporting one another has been really cool for me to see. So
awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So lastly, as we kind of round out, maybe give some practical connection to some people. How can we support teachers? How can we be praying for teachers? And Claire, do you want to start with that question? How can you feel supported? What do you need prayer for?
Yeah, I think just it's really different working with your kids on a Zoom meeting, or FaceTiming with them, or just talking with them, or texting with their parents. So just, I guess, praying for teachers as to feel like we still have that connection. I don't know how to make that make sense, but it's hard to still have that full connection with our kids when you're not right there next to them. I took that so much for granted, that being right next to my kids. And so just, I guess, just praying for us to know that we are still making an impact, and not second guessing ourselves because we're not right there working with them, that they're still learning and all that, even though we're not right with them. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Sherry, how about you? What are your thoughts?
I have two things, and one of them is very close to what Claire said. teaching is all about relationships, and these connections home and making the phone calls and having Zoom or Google Meets is awesome and amazing, but our hearts are breaking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see them, and there's relationships there. Just for teachers' hearts, because it is heartbreaking. We're glad to be able to connect. And I would say the second thing is prayer for teachers to give themselves grace. We're doing our job in a totally different atmosphere, using totally different tools. We're asking teachers some of whom aren't very good with technology, to all of a sudden put on total lessons and use different platforms, and it's a struggle, and teachers are pretty hard on themselves anyways. So those two things.
Andrew, how about you? What are your thoughts on how can we pray for teachers? How can we support teachers?
I was going to say exactly what Sherry said, which is that idea of grace and being allowed to kind of just take this with a sense of like, for me, like I'm a perfectionist. So things like, if they don't go right, like kind of like stick with me. And so like that idea just to like let things happen. And then again, that piece of like, we're not with our students when like, that's a big piece of why we stepped into what we did, is like to actually be there and help them and go through those hard times with them. And it's like, we're not there. And so.
Awesome. Maggie, what are your thoughts on prayer and support?
Well, I definitely have to agree with everybody so far, but yeah, I mean, two big things would be, one is that connection piece, making sure that we have a way to connect with our students so that if they do need help, they can actually ask for it. And then what Sherry was saying, I mean, it's so true, like, and what Andrew's, it's like, we did this for the kids, and right now we're apart from the kids. And so there's a huge challenge in that, for just teaching in general is more difficult, and just missing the relationship and missing our kids' lives right now and just kind of worrying about them. So really my big overall prayer would be, pray for our kids. And parents, we see you, we get that it's hard right now. It's hard for us too. And so we're praying for you too.
Great. Jenny, you want to round us out?
Well, I think everyone has said a very common theme for sure. But looking forward, there's still like 6-7 weeks of school left. And for us to be able to just finish strong, basically, and not get tired, and to the families not get tired, but to keep their students engaged as much as they can, and us to just keep doing what we're doing, because it's, by Friday right now, it does get a little tired, so just to keep doing. But I liked what Sherry said about giving us grace too, that this is a new thing for us and we're doing a great job, but to just keep doing it to the end.
Awesome. And you want to give us some practical, I'm sure that you've had encouraging moments or people that have said something or done something that have been particularly encouraging for you in this season. Do you just want to tell one story, or maybe not a story, but here's a good idea of how you can support a teacher that you know? How about Maggie? Do you want to start?
I would say a simple reach out to say, even if they don't even know what you're doing, just saying, hey, I believe in you and I know you're doing a good job.
Awesome. Claire, how about you?
Yeah, I would go along with that. Just let a teacher know that that you realize what they're doing is not what they were really necessarily trained for, and so this is all new, and keep at it. Keep doing what you're doing, and they get that it's all new for all of us. So
awesome. Sherry?
I would say the thing that has encouraged me the most is I get random little texts or emails during the day. Just thank a teacher for what they're doing and let them know you're praying for them.
Jenny?
I would say just, I've gotten emails and texts as well, just telling me that they're thinking about me and praying for me. And usually in that moment, it's just what I needed in that situation. And just knowing that there's people out there that realize that and are praying for me has gone such a long ways.
Awesome. And Andrew?
So I think well, basically the same thing, just in like reaching out to a teacher. One of the things that a parent do is just email me and just saying like, almost like a success story of how like their son was really pleased to be able to see his teachers this week. And so just something of like success that like we don't really get to see as often. It's a piece of encouragement.
That's so great. And guys that are watching, there's stuff that all of us can do. Simple things. It doesn't cost a lot of money or take a lot of time. Even the generosity of an attitude towards somebody is incredible. So let me pray for you guys as we close. Can I pray? God, I think about these guys. I think about teachers everywhere. I think about students. I'll just lay those students before you. Students that are feeling lonely, disconnected. They're feeling like they're not getting things, or that they are just missing the ways that things were. That students that haven't felt connection or been able to be connected with. And God, I ask that you would calm their hearts. That you would wrap your arms around them, that you would love them and help them understand your presence in their lives. And I ask that same thing for teachers. Thanks for these incredible teachers I get to talk to today, and their heart that's so evident, the way that they love students. And yeah, love is always difficult because love is always messy, and to feel heartbroken about loss of connection with these kids, about fear of their environment, or fear of what they are lacking, or even fear that they're going to fall behind, or fear that they'll be alone. Thanks for that. And God, I ask that you would take some of that weight, and that you would give a great peace, supernatural peace that would come on these students or these teachers. And yeah, in the same way that you would infuse them with grace for themselves. And man, that we would all of us hold on to, that we were made for this moment, and that we have what our world needs, and us in connection with Jesus can meet incredible needs in our community. And so I ask that these teachers and all teachers would stay closely connected to that truth and to you, and that it wouldn't just be a sense of trying to hold their breath until a month or so from now, but there would be a great surge of energy, supernatural strength, and wisdom and courage as they step in to these next moments and finish strong. Thanks, God. We love you. Amen. You guys are so great. Thanks so much. And thanks for watching. Reach out to a teacher. Let them know you appreciate them and love them. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.